Hi, I'm Kate.
And I'm Marin.
And this is our second quarter book project review. For this quarter, I read 50 Shades of Grey by E.L. James.
And for this quarter, I read Troublemaker by Leah Remini, and this is the cover of the book. And it's an autobiography by her. So the summary of Troublemaker by Leah Remini is basically it's an autobiography about Leah's life in the Church of Scientology. It exposes the injustices the religion has committed against her and her family. So you might be asking what Scientology is. It's a body of religious beliefs and practices created by L. Ron Hubbard, which is widely criticized by the general public for being a cult. Leah grew up in Brooklyn, New York, where her mother introduced Scientology to her when she was only 9 years old, and therefore she was raised a Scientologist her whole life. Leah always dreamed of being an actress and moved to LA when she was only 13. She juggled strenuous coursework for the church while trying to make it in LA, like as a big-time actress. She starred in Saved by the Bell, The Kings of Queens, and The Talk, which promoted her to celebrity status in the Church of Scientology. In Scientology, they go after celebrities to endorse the church and bring in more people from the public. And so the church asked Leah to go promote it, and Leah wouldn't promote the church to others. She would share what she found helpful though in the church to her friends, but never tried to go after people and talk them into joining the church. So in a point of her life, she started to question the management of the church and the whereabouts of the church leader David Miscavige's wife was. And at Tom Cruise's and Katie Holmes' wedding, she asked a church official where Miscavige's wife Shelley was, because it was just odd she wasn't there. She'd been missing for a little bit. She was told that she didn't have the rank to be asking such questions, and Leah felt belittled and just was wondering where her friend was. And so Leah was shocked at the response and filed a missing persons report on Shelley Miscavige to the LA PD. But the police said Shelley was fine and well because they work with Scientology and kind of cover up anything that would hurt the church's reputation. And so in July 2013, Leah left the Church of Scientology and was declared a suppressive person, which means she is an enemy of the church and had to disconnect from anyone she knew in the church. So basically she cut off all ties to lifetime friends. She had the life she had for 34 years. She just couldn't talk to anyone. Remini felt that her whole life she had been living was a lie. She spent millions of dollars for church course material, tons of hours of being audited and asked questions, and so she just felt really helpless and didn't really know how to get back on her feet in a normal non-Scientology life. And so that is a quick summary of the story.
The summary of 50 Shades of Grey, which was the book I read, is a story about a college graduate named Anastasia Steele and a wealthy businessman named Christian Grey. They end up meeting when Anna's best friend and roommate, Kate, is too ill to interview Grey, and Anna steps in and does it for her. After the interview, they kind of go their separate ways until they meet up at the hardware store that Miss Steele works at. Running into each other due to Kate's job again, Anna and Christian learn more about each other, they're both single. Hint, hint. Anna and Kate find interest in Christian and Christian's brother Elliot, technically stepbrother since Christian is adopted from, don't want to spoil, but he's adopted and we'll do that. The next day, Anna finds herself in Christian's hotel room after a long night of drinking, and she thought that they had sex, which he reassured her that they did not. As Anna and Christian got closer, they make an agreement to have intercourse with each other, but Christian is not the romantic type, which later Anna finds out. Christian is the dominant and Anna becomes his submissive. All is well until Anna wants more than just this contract and physical attention, and she has to do whatever he tells her to do, basically, which is in the contract. The end is basically the climax of the whole book, and that's where she has made a ultimate decision where everything gets changed between him. And I'm not going to spoil the ending, but it kind of goes with his dark past and how she chooses to deal with it, and how he's not giving her what she needs. But there's always a reason behind why he's acting a certain way, and yeah.
Okay, so I believe that Leah Remini wrote this book, this autobiography about Scientology and her surviving Hollywood in this church, because she wanted to tell the public, to reach out to them and tell them about her secrets of Scientology and her experiences, to let them know, like, don't join this church. Like, there's some good things to it, but in the end, you're going to be losing millions of dollars to a place that doesn't really appreciate you, and you're just a number to them. So she, I really believe, did this to save other people from making the same mistake she made for 34 years, and she just wants to help out people.
In the book 50 Shades of Grey, there are many themes and actions that draw along the story, and I believe that James has glorified the idea of an abusive relationship that is also unhealthy. You're always guessing why Christian is so hands-on literally and kind of hands-off figuratively in his relationships, and I made that maybe like sort of confusing about what Grey is really looking for in life and in a relationship, and how he's actually going to deal with relationships when he needs to settle down. It's not called 50 Shades of Grey for no reason, because as it's a play on words. As the book goes on, Grey peels back like many layers of himself in the book, and you kind of get to see like what the real Christian is like, and there's a lot of explanations for why he is the way he is, and later and in the next book kind of Anna finds out about that.
Okay, so our two books, 50 Shades of Grey and Troublemaker, kind of relate, have like a connection with the two main characters, with Christian and Leah. They both have had many years of suffering and abuse from either their family, outside like sources, drugs, alcohol, anything like that. They have had trouble. So basically an outside source. So in Kate's case, it was
In 50 Shades of Grey, it was his biological mother and her so-called like boyfriend / pimp. Christian's mom committed suicide when he was 4 years old, and her boyfriend would always abuse Christian and his mother. And as the book plays on, you can kind of see that Christian doesn't want Anna to touch him anywhere, and Christian needs to sleep alone. So Anna, when she sleeps over, she has to sleep in a separate bed, and it's because of the past childhood that he's lived through, and he's not quite like sure to talk about it. And that's when Anna steps in, and there's kind of like a like her like his like safekeeping, I guess. Like she's really trying to like peel back layers and like open him up to like new things, like try new things and technically fix him, which apparently all of his girlfriends in the past have done, but nothing's really worked.
And so Anna was the outside source that like tried to fix him. And so in my book, Leah had a troubled childhood. Her parents got divorced. Her mom did drugs and alcohol. And so Scientology was the outside source. And Scientology helped her in the beginning really well. The courses helped her and taught her how to treat other people in certain situations. And whenever she got down or something, she would go to auditing sessions, and she felt so much better that she got stuff off her chest. But as the years went on, she saw like cracks in the system in Scientology and didn't like where the church was going. She felt betrayed because the church wasn't what she thought it was. She was paying millions of dollars to help people and like save the world, but in the end she saw that it was a cult. And so Scientology was good in the beginning for her, but towards the end she realized she actually grew from going to Scientology, but she grew as a person, but at the end she's like, I don't need this anymore. So would I recommend Troublemaker to anyone? Yes. The answer is yes. I have actually been like looking at Scientology and it's the things it's done to people in their lives and how they've had to disconnect from their families, and it just tears families apart and like relationships apart. And I think after reading this book, I learned a lot more about behind the scenes of what goes on in the church. I still don't know what goes on fully, but I think people who've never heard about Scientology and might be interested, they really should read this book before they join, because everything's not what it seems like on the outside.
I would also recommend my book, 50 Shades of Grey. I'm also, like me, and I also recommend it to you guys if you're like into romantic kind of movies, kind of like love story things, but also if you're like kind of from a troubled past and you're really just like looking for something or someone in this case to kind of push you over the edge and push you to your limits, which is what Anna does in this story, is just like opening him up. And if you're kind of like scared to take like that first leap, I feel like it gives you like a lot of motivation to do that, and you can kind of put yourself in Christian shoes in like the family like past and like abusive way and not like the sexual way, but you can kind of open yourself up to like new things and try new things with someone's help or something's help.